So there's a good chance that I'm probably going to get some heat for this. But this film that I'm about to review, that you can see in the title, is called Spider-Man Lotus. It is a Spider-Man movie, not a Marvel Spider-Man movie or a Sony Spider-Man movie, but it's a fan-made Spider-Man movie called Spider-Man Lotus. And it's getting a bit of heat online, all over the place. People are really having a go because the director and a couple of cast members are somewhat problematic. And I've been seeing some reviews about this movie that, to be perfectly honest, I think they're more reviewing the people involved. And I guess you kind of have to, because they are the director and some of the cast. Some of the main cast, in fact. But at the end of the day, they still made this piece of art. They still poured their heart and souls into this movie. They were crowdfunded by a lot of people who wanted them to make this movie. And yes, okay, so the director said some gnarly shit, and we don't condone any of that. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to watch the movie. I'm still going to watch the movie for what the movie is. I'm still going to review the movie for what the movie is. Fairly unbiased. Just get into it. Because a lot of the reviews that I've seen, it'll start with something like, oh yeah, the acting's not great, and the director's an asshole. You're not even reviewing the movie then. And if you are reviewing the movie, you're being hypercritical of things, and there's a reason for it. So we're going to talk about Spider-Man Lotus. My name is Kevin Halden. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all of your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the no budget to the low budget, with a special keen interest on the lower end of the scale. Pushing the little guys is where my heart lies. That's going on a t-shirt. Phil, put that on a t-shirt. So, as I said at the start, I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Lotus. Because although it's not a perfect movie, it's a fan movie, for God's sake. So what were you expecting? I believe the kid was like 18 when he made it. So I don't know what people were really expecting from this. So yeah, let's get into it.
Look at what you...
She's gone. Because of me. A lot of people are now. And I can't do anything to stop it.
You weren't the only person who lost something that day, but you can't admit that because you're too selfish to think about anyone else.
No matter what you...
And this is going to be my normal routine of talking about the plot of the movie, which, to be fair, it's a Spider-Man movie, and we've kind of seen this plot before, but we'll dive into it a little bit. And then we will get into the cast and the crew of this movie, and then we will talk about what I didn't like about it, and then, of course, my final Nerdly Out Loud rating, which is the rating of just me, not everyone at Nerdly, just me, but I pretty much am Mr. Nerdly right now. The face, if you will. Phil is more the brain and the body, and I am the face. So, wow, that's a concoction. So the plot itself is kind of almost a pretty basic Spider-Man 2 plot. Peter is fighting crime, he's dating Gwen Stacy, friends with Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn's kicking about with MJ. That's kind of the friend group right now. So then we get the second opening credits of this movie, because we get like opening credits of like producers' names and stuff like that. It's basically Gavin Konop's name like 50 times doing different things, which is cool. It's cool. And then we get like this cold open that's a little bit longer than a cold open really should be, and then that goes into these pretty cool opening credits. I will say the opening credits are good. Whoever did these opening credits, they need full props, because they did a great job with it. It's kind of really comic booky, which is what gets me going. And we come back off the credits, and Gwen Stacy has died. Off screen, the movie from now is going to be Peter dealing with Gwen's death, or not dealing with Gwen's death as such, and trying to move forward as Spider-Man. Does he want to be Spider-Man? Does he want to be Peter Parker? You know, it's that old thing where he's wrestling with the problems of what he causes. So in essence, it's the last 20 minutes of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is totally fine. And that's not the only thing that this movie takes inspiration. We get this really kind of ropey, like, it looks good. It looks good, like CGI kind of car careering down the road, but it's not great. You know, it does kind of look maybe PS3-ish, PS2-ish. Like, it does kind of look that, but the car itself has a TASM reg plate, which I vibed on. I was like, straight away, you're giving me something to latch onto as a fan of Spider-Man. I'm not a massive fan of Spider-Man, but I do know my Spider-Man. And it does come with this really cool kind of, the camera zooms into the grill of a lorry and then pulls out and Spider-Man swings by. Very well done. Again, big props on that. And then that leads into some really nice web slinging. We get a few scenes of web slinging in this movie, but let's have it right. There's not a massive budget here, so we're not going to be doing that an awful lot. And that's fine, But when you do that, other aspects of your movie that really you shouldn't be messing up. It should be basic 101 level shit. You shouldn't be messing it up, and you kind of do a little bit because of you've spent the money here and you've forgotten about here. But if I had to pass any advice out to the director and the crew of this movie is, you know, use your money wisely. Use it wisely. Yes, have those big shots, but surely those shots don't cost that much. You can still make them look really good. I mean, let's be honest, Marvel spends 200 to 300 million on movies, and half of them look like shit. So I'm pretty sure you guys could do a good job. With a little bit less. I mean, the only other real thing that's going on is that this terminally ill kid decides he wants to meet Spider-Man because he's a massive Spider-Man fanatic, and Spider-Man spends most of the movie, well, Peter Parker spends most of the movie like, am I gonna go? Will I go? You know he's gonna go. And it's not that the storyline was done poorly, it's not that at all, because it leads towards some pretty good monologuing. But I just didn't really care. That's harsh. That's very harsh. But this felt like a kind of a storyline you might see in a teen drama. Like if Spider-Man was on the CW. That starts pretty badass, and then has some good like fight choreography, some decent effects going on, and then we turn it into like a Hallmark movie of the month. That's where I would pull it down. It is more of a human interest kind of story, side to the story, but I would pull it down because I just didn't much care who this kid was. And to be completely honest, it raised a few questions for me. In the point of, he goes to this kid's house, he's got Spider-Man posters all over the wall, he's got Spider-Man comic books, a Spider-Man video game, he's got all these things, and I'm thinking to myself, how long has he been Spider-Man? Because he doesn't look that old. Okay, he's not like 1 or 2 years in, he might be 3 or 4 to 5 years in, but how old actually is Spider-Man in this movie? Because we've got a fully fledged game, and we know those games can take a little while to come out. We've got comic books up the wazoo. This kid's been like cutting clippings out and making scrapbooks for years. Questions I didn't really want to be asking myself in a Spider-Man fan movie. Let's talk about the cast and crew. And right off rip, I'll address it now. So the movie's been getting made and everything like that, and then a lot of text messages and Twitter messages and all this different stuff started coming out about the director, Gavin Konop, and his lead star, Warden Wayne, I believe he's called. So it turns out they sent off-colour texts and whatnot, and basically very racist. We're not going to condone any of that. We don't like any of that. However, there is obviously a bit of creativeness here because they've made this movie, and I'm not condoning anything they've done there, but I do quite like what they've done here with this fan movie, this Spider-Man Lotus movie. So that's why I decided I'm still going to watch it, I'm still going to review it, I'm still going to be, as impartial as I possibly can. The kid might suck as a human, and that's totally fine, because I can separate the art from the people. I'm not going to stop watching Kevin Spacey movies because people no longer like Kevin Spacey. That's just not going to happen. And if you want to hate me for reviewing this movie because of that, that's your opinion. But at the end of the day, if you don't like the guy, you don't have to watch the movie. And you especially don't have to review it just to say you hated it because you hated the guy. I've seen a lot of reviews out there where people are doing that. They say they're not. I'm sorry, but you can see it written all over their face. They are. Now, what I will say about Warden Wayne is that his Peter Parker is not great. For me, he's a little bit too Tobey Maguire. He's not enough Andrew Garfield. But when he is Spider-Man, he's a lot Andrew Garfield. So, I like his Spider-Man. I just don't really like his Peter Parker. He's doing the cocky, laughy, jokey stuff when he's got the guys and he shoots the webs and the guns and everything like that. And he's being all quippy and stuff like that. Warden Wayne is doing that. That's what he's doing. And I really like that as Spider-Man. But then when he becomes Peter Parker, he is a complete Tobey Maguire blanket. Like, the lines he delivers, I don't really feel like he delivers them with any sort of conviction, really. Like, he does a few monologues, but for the most part, it feels like he's doing a 1,000-yard stare. Now, that could be to do with the writing, which is a shame because he's credited as a writer. So, he wrote the lines. Write yourself some decent stuff. You know what you're going to be saying. You know how you're going to be delivering it. Write it a tad better. I love him when he's Spider-Man, but we don't get enough of that. Sean Thomas Reid, who plays Harry Osborn. This kid thinks he's Joaquin Phoenix. I think he also thinks he's Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he thinks he's probably one of the best actors to have ever graced the planet. Now, he's not bad, but he's not great. He's more My Chemical Romance. He's just emo. He's emo as hell. If I had to put him alongside any other Spider-Man actor who's been in the movies, he would definitely be Dane DeHaan. That's nothing against Dane DeHaan, because I do love Dane DeHaan, but I feel like that's what this kid was going for as Harry Osborn. They do something pretty interesting, though, where he's lost his father, so he's kind of taken to the drugs, and they flippantly throw it in there somewhere to sort of, like, let you know that, guys, this is what's happening, but we're not going to show you too much of that because, you know, it's a Spider-Man movie. Which kind of, like, if you're going to do it, run with it, go for it, you know. Our two female leads, Mary Jane Watson and Gwen Stacy, played by Moriah Brooklyn and Tuyen Powell, respectively, both very good. You don't really see much of Gwen Stacy in the movie, but you see more of Mary Jane Watson, because obviously Gwen Stacy dies quite early on, before the opening credits, in fact, in the cold opening, and then we see flashbacks of her all the way through, and she's doing a good job, she's doing a great job. Mary Jane Watson does get fleshed out to the point of annoyance. She goes to the graveyard to see Peter, and he's sort of like mourning Gwen a little bit, and she's just kind of like, you know what, we all lost someone. Do you want to go to a party? Like, the flipping on a dime of this chick is mad. Not a massively great actress, but I'm not going to pull her down too far, because it's a fan film, it's a low-budget film. You know, these kids will probably all went to school together and decided they were going to make a movie together. I don't know the background. But she's fine. She's absolutely fine. She does look the part. Just some of the way those lines are delivered, you kind of just go, really? That's where you're going. I kind of mentioned the kid before, so I will mention the actor. Maxwell Fox plays the young kid who's terminally ill, Tim Harrison. That's all I'm really going to say about the character, because I just didn't vibe with it. I didn't really understand why we were doing that story. That is where the movie, for me, falls apart, is that. So let's talk about what I did and didn't like. First of all, what I didn't like, that part of the movie. But what I did like, there are some really cool effects in here. There's a really good score to the movie. There are a couple of scenes where the score sort of overpowers the line delivery, and I did kind of in a couple of spaces think that it was done on purpose, but then there were other spaces where I was kind of like, no, that's just dialed up too high, I can't hear what they're trying to say. Visual effect, again, when he's doing the web slinging, it looks good. I think the actual web shooting during the fight choreography and stuff, I think it was pretty good. Like, it didn't bother me, I liked it. Fight choreography was decent, like, he got some good hits in there. He did the old, slapping the webs on one person and another person and then pulling himself forward and drop kicking a guy. He does a hellacious Superman punch. Like, he's kind of down on his knees, and then he just comes up with power, and the camera sort of flips to the side, and I thought it looked pretty badass. It was a damn good hit. So it hit all the right ways, so I was pretty pleased with it. There are a lot of flaws to this movie. One of the big ones is the lighting. The contrast and the lighting and the darkness and whatnot, like in Spider-Man's suit, is supposed to be nice and bright. And I know he's going for a little bit of a darker tone in this movie, I guess, but he's supposed to be nice and bright. And at times, he is nice and bright. But at other times, when he's out in the daylight, he's pretty dark. And you're just sort of like, eh. And then when the camera zooms in and you get a close-up of the suit, it may have been a different suit, I don't know. I personally, as a reviewer and as a commentator on films, I personally can drop them. Like, I'll see them and I'll be critical of them, and it will affect the way that I review a movie, but I'm not going to tear it apart for little things like that. Everything else was good. Everything else worked. Everything else did what it was supposed to do. Would I watch this movie again? Probably not. Would I recommend this movie to people? I don't know. Out of morbid curiosity, if they wanted to see it, I would say, yeah, you should check it out once. But I'm not going to tell people not to watch it either. And I'm definitely not going to tell people not to watch it because of something they did years back, a few years back. It's still fresh in a lot of people's minds. I get that. I do get that. And the comment section on the video on YouTube, it doesn't make for very good reading. But you know, I'm coming at it from a different angle. I'm watching this from the stance of these guys raised the money. They made this fan movie. I rate that aspect of them. So when it comes down to my final rating of this movie, I will say again, my impartiality, or whatever you want to call it, isn't based on the drama going on behind the movie or behind the scenes with the director and the actors. Like, I'm not judging anything on that. That's them as human beings. That is them as human beings. And if they want to be shitty, they can be shitty, but be shitty over there. Like, be shitty over there. So when I talk about this, and let's be honest, they probably won't make anything ever again because of all the shit that's come out. But let's be honest, this is a fan movie that was made with a lot of passion, quite a bit of creativity. The VFX team are brilliant. The costume team are really good. The score, the composer is great. So I kind of just look at it at that aspect. Is the script brilliant? Not really. Not really. It falls apart towards the final third of the movie. Starts quite strong, falls apart in the final third with that story about the kid. So when it comes to rating this movie, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go for a 3. It's a hard 3, it's a solid 3. Would I watch this movie again? I don't think so. Not really, because I'm a Spider-Man fan, but I'm not a big enough Spider-Man fan to want to watch everything all the time. So now that I've seen this movie, and now that I've done this review, that's this one put to bed. I'll not be watching this film again. Would I recommend it to people? Now, if I know somebody who is a Spider-Man fan, and somebody who does like to consume everything all the time, I would recommend this to them. I would say, give it a watch. You'll probably only ever watch it once, but give it a watch. 3 out of 5, that's my rating for Spider-Man Lotus. I see a lot of people out there giving it shit, and you know what? Absolutely give it shit. But give it shit for the right reasons. If you watch this movie and you think it's trash based on what's on the screen, say that. But when you sit there and you say something on the screen is absolute trash, followed up by a dig at the director, and then saying, I'm not saying that because the director's a piece of crap, that's exactly why you're saying that. I'm going to go. My name's Kevin Halden. This has been Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, everyone's favourite British pop culture website. I'll be back for another one. Please do come back. Don't hate me and leave me because I reviewed this movie.